Hey guys, welcome back to Pine Hollow Auto Diagnostics. Today I'm doing one in the field here. It's a beautiful 2010 Honda Ridgeline. The history is it was involved in a severe front end collision on this left front corner. The subframe was shoved back, straightened out, and then the current owner bought it after the body shop was done with it. He drove it around for, he said, 1 or 2 weeks, so it was running great. And now, he said it started shifting hard, and the check engine light came on, the transmission light started flashing, the D right there. So, you know, most likely the transmission is right here. Most likely we have some damage going on with either the wiring or the sensors or the solenoids. So let's see what codes we can get out of this thing and track this problem down. So actually yesterday I did a quick scan on this truck, and here are the codes that were in the transmission. There were no engine codes. So these permanent transmission codes were the 717 input shaft speed sensor no signal, 767 shift solenoid valve D stuck on, 797 clutch pressure solenoid valve C stuck on. Okay, and then in the temporary codes it had let's see, the 757, that's a different code, valve B stuck on, 767 valve D stuck on. That's the same as the one up here. And then 796, that same valve C stuck off. That's very strange. So it sticks in the on and off position. It's interesting. And then here I rescanned it, and then I reset the codes and took it for a drive to see what would come back first. And this guy, the 796, came back pretty much right away. You know, I didn't even get past third gear, and the way the truck drives, it shifts really hard. It's just sometimes you put it in reverse, it takes like 3 or 4 seconds to engage, and then you feel this hard jerk, clunk. So in this case, since we have so many codes, it's worthwhile to do a visual inspection in the damaged area, because, you know, put 2 and 2 together, that's where our problem is. So let's go under the hood here and see what all we can find. For example, this top sensor is the input main shaft speed sensor, and you can see there's this yellow goop over the wire, so apparently that was damaged. If we come under the truck down here, let's see. Oh yeah, there's a lot of black nasties on. Looks like some kind of rubberized epoxy on that transmission range sensor. Let's see what else we got. Some fresh tape on the ground wire, so I'm not too worried about the ground wire, but you know, maybe we should be. And well, you know, if the impact was here, this whole subframe was shoved up against the transmission, and you know, the owner told me that the body shop said some solenoid was loose or damaged. So I'm going to dig around here a little bit, then we can run the truck, look at some data. But you know, in this case, it's kind of it could be a time-consuming process, or it could be really quick, you know, if you find the problem with a visual inspection. But you know, it's still part of the diagnosis. So right now, for the current scan, it says permanent codes, shift solenoid valve D stuck on, the 767, and that same AT clutch pressure control solenoid C stuck off 796. Alright, and then temporary codes we have again 796, 767, and 797, valve C stuck on. So let's concentrate on this valve C, see where it lives, at least you know, the location of it, and check the wiring harness for it. See why, you know, what sets these codes, and then do a visual on it. Alright guys, looking up some information. This clutch pressure control solenoid valve C is located on top of the transmission. So there's that guy. This is transmission housing with the battery removed, so it's under the battery, looks like. And then looking at our trouble codes, here's the 6796. Solenoid control valve C stuck off. There's a nice hydraulic diagram. Actually gives you a whole chart of kind of the logic behind the shift solenoids and what the clutches are doing right here. And then it basically gives you what pressure, you know, like in first gear you have line pressure at the first clutch, in second gear you have line pressure at the second clutch, and these the CPC stands for clutch pressure control pressure. So those are kind of to make the shift smooth. Okay, that's where they come in. So like the first, the second shift, valve A is active. In the second to third, A and B are active. Third to fourth, etc. And right here, the only place where I see valve C, the one that is supposedly stuck on or off, is right here. It says in gear, right here, valve C controls the pressure to the first clutch. So that's interesting. So I guess that's when you just put it in gear when you're standing still. Seems like in gear. Or if you're in any gear, control valve C is basically, you know, responsible for everything, and that's why all the shifts are hard. You know, I'm not a transmission expert by any means, but just looking at this chart, it seems like valve C is a key player in just when you're standing, you put it in gear, in any gear, and that's why we feel the clunk. So let's read a little bit. Here, I don't know if you guys can see that. Installed in the housing, controlled by the PCM. Let's see, line pressure is modulated to clutch pressure control, C pressure. A lot of pressures and C's. Signal from the PCM is output to the proper gear clutch, determined by the schedule. Okay. The PCM monitors input shaft main shaft speed and the output shaft speed, and then decides, you know, when to shift. Make sure everything is going smoothly. When an improper gear ratio is output compared to the predetermined gear ratio, okay, this is key, the PCM detects AT clutch pressure control solenoid valve C off failure and stores a DTC. Interesting. So it doesn't necessarily mean we have an electrical fault in this solenoid. It's more of a logic thing. It looks at the input and output speeds and says, you know, basically that whole schedule is based on the input and output speeds. And if you remember in the history codes last time, we had a missing input input shaft speed code. Now I did look at the data, and this, it was there, but as we saw in the visual inspection, that connector was all messed up. So that could definitely be an explanation. Like all these codes, it's not like we have 5 separate problems, or we might, but it's improbable. It might just be one problem that's causing everything. Now, let's see here, malfunction threshold. Driving pattern. Conditions for setting the DTC when a malfunction is detected. Setting DTC stored in PC memory. Okay, that's not very helpful. Brake pedal pressed, shift transmission into first gear. Drive the vehicle in reverse. Okay. So this is all low speed stuff. Actual gear position neutral. Gear position commanded by PCM. Okay. One of these symptom combination occurs. So either we have, we put in gear and the actual gear position is neutral. That will set this code, right? Symptom 1. Symptom 2A occurs after symptom 1 occurs during the same drive cycle. Symptom 2A is reverse gear and you're still neutral. Okay, that's definitely what's going on. You put it in reverse and it kind of waits, and then it goes bam into reverse. So that fits. And then 2B, driving in reverse gear. Okay. Interesting. So, in this case, what I want to figure out is how does it determine what gear it's in? That might be due to the oil pressure switches going on and off, and that's how I wish I knew more about these automatic transmissions, honestly. But what's the next easiest, most direct step here? We can see that this code isn't electrical. It's kind of a logic code. So how about first thing we check the transmission fluid level and then look on the scanner what gear it thinks it's in when you're actually shifting it, and maybe that will give us a clue. So the fluid level, let's see here, looks to be right on the money. Now, the owner actually said that they put in fresh synthetic fluid to combat this symptom originally, a week ago or so, and it didn't do anything. But still, a good thing to check when dealing with a transmission issue. So we'll put that back, and we'll let's see here. Next thing I want to do is check this connector for the speed sensor right here, because everything is based on the input and the output speeds. So let's check that, and I'll go from there. Well guys, wouldn't you know it, visual inspection, this valve solenoid seat right there. What do you notice? I noticed that it might be a little hard to see, maybe from this angle. Damn son, let's see. That valve is clearly not straight. So what happened during the collision, I think the battery got shoved back and actually bent this solenoid right here. See how this is kind of tweaked backwards? Obviously that would cause mechanical binding inside, and this thing's not going to work. That might explain everything. And that might be the one they were talking about. So in this case, let's control it. We can do, a bypass test. It's power side switch, so we can just put full power to the solenoid and see if it clicks. If it doesn't click, it's just mechanically stuck, and that's a definite problem. So we're just gonna have to get a new one, put it on, and cross your fingers and pray that's the only issue. Okay, so I'm not gonna go too far into the wiring harness at this point. Let's just get that solenoid and see where that takes us. This is pretty crazy. I can actually take the solenoid and move it with my hand. That's not supposed to happen. So if it's jiggly like this, maybe if we straighten it out, it might work, mechanically inside, but then when it's pushed back like that, then it won't work. That's it. So it's definitely broke. Alright, so I cleared the codes, and now we're going to shift into reverse. There it goes. Boom. It shifted, right? Bam. That's a huge delay. And delay. Okay. Let's see if we set any codes. There it is. C stuck off. Cool. Permanent codes. No codes to display. Now what I want to do is shut the truck off. Manually straighten out that solenoid. It was bent. Let's clear the codes again. Yep. Continue. No codes, perfect. Now let me manually try to straighten that valve. So see right now it's bent. I actually feel the plunger trying to move there. Let's see if we can prop that straighter than it was before. So now let's start it up. Okay, drive shift into reverse. Neutral, drive. Oh yeah. Perfect. Nice. I'm happy with that. So that was definitely cause and effect. So let me tweak that valve again. And just proof of concept. Let's see if we set any codes. I'm sure we did not. See, no codes to display. Now I'm going to tweak this solenoid. So I pushed it back. Like a lot. Now, put it into reverse. Boom. Put in drive. Oh yeah, perfect. And there it is. So it's a mechanical problem with that solenoid valve. All the other codes we're going to ignore for now. And get a new solenoid, put it on, let them drive it, and that should solve the problem. Alright guys, I appreciate you watching. Thanks for your support. I'll see you next time. Bye bye. Little bonus footage here. As you can see, that's where the solenoid lived. And here's what it looks like. So it's kind of crimped on. This is the electrical part. There's a coil in here that makes this plunger go in and out. And this is just crimped on to the solenoid body. I'm sure it's all sold as one assembly there. So we need the whole piece, and I don't think you can just crimp this guy on. We showed the proof of concept that if you straighten it out, it works fine. But mechanically, if this thing's bent, obviously the plunger can't do its thing. So I'm gonna have to take a trip to the dealer, but this solves the problem. That's the end of the video. Alright guys, thanks for watching.